So I think we can all agree that Kevin Smith's He-Man and Masters of the Universe Revelations was a complete failure, or I guess it's not even a He-Man Masters of the Universe show, it's just a Masters of the Universe Revelations. They pulled that bait and switch, but we already know that already. That's not what this video is about. But I guess you could kind of debate whether or not the show was a failure based on the toy sales, because apparently after the show got a horrible score on Rotten Tomatoes, they came out, Kevin Smith came out, a lot of other people came out and kind of insinuated that the show wasn't really made to get good Rotten Tomato scores, it was more made to sell toys, and I don't believe that for a second. I think that they always want these shows to succeed on their own and also sell toys at the same time, obviously, but I don't believe for a second this show was made primarily to sell toys. I think that's kind of a cop-out, just like whenever they said that the show wasn't made for adults, it was made for kids to capture the new generation, the same thing that they're saying about the new show as well. We'll talk about that in 1 minute too, but let's check this out. Why Netflix was right to make He-Man 2021 an independent story. Now, this is an excuse that a lot of people use. A lot of people use the same types of excuses as well, not necessarily this same one. But if you think about, in this article, they go into Marvel and Star Wars universes and why it's a good idea to every once in a while make a standalone story. Now, I didn't even know when this show came out, when He-Man and I keep saying He-Man, but the show is really not a He-Man show. Like I said, bait and switch, so it's in my head that the show was going to be a He-Man show, but it never ended up being a He-Man show. But this Masters of the Universe show, they're saying that it was a good idea to have it be kind of a standalone story instead of having it be connected to the overall He-Man or Masters of the Universe. And they're saying that it's a good idea for a lot of, franchises like Star Wars and Marvel to do the same thing with their universes and start making a lot more standalone stories, because you have a lot more freedom when it comes to these stories. And I think that this is an excuse to do certain things, like make Teela the main character, like make Teela more important than the He-Man character, than Prince Adam. I think that's an excuse, and it's not just this Masters of the Universe show that does it. Star Wars and Marvel also do it. I would say mainly Marvel does it whenever they go into their comic book, whenever they go into their source material, and they find these variants of certain characters that are different races, different genders, and they use that as an excuse to race and gender swap in their actual MCU content. That's an excuse. It's the same way that they're using this He-Man, this Masters of the Universe show, as an excuse. It's a standalone story, right? It's not connected to the rest of the He-Man universe, so they can do whatever they want with it. They can make He-Man this weak person and make Teela this extremely strong person who is the main character of this supposed He-Man show that they claimed it was going to be for 6 months leading up to the show, really for a year and a half leading up to the show, if you count whenever Kevin Smith refuted the Clownfish TV claims, whenever they got the leaks saying that the show was going to be a Teela show. I guess it's really like a year and a half leading up to the show. He denied, and a lot of other people denied who were involved with the show, that the show was going to be a Teela show and the show wasn't going to be centered around He-Man. But they're using this as an excuse, and like I said, it's not just them, it's Star Wars and Marvel. Star Wars hasn't done it too much yet, but you already know it's coming. I think that because they don't have direct source material that they're pulling from whenever it came to the sequel trilogy, they were kind of just doing their own thing. They weren't really pulling from Legends or anything like that, because according to Kathleen Kennedy, there is no source material, so there's nothing to pull from, but we all know the story with that. It's getting better. Star Wars is on an uptrend. Marvel is definitely on a downtrend, and they're using that source material stuff as an excuse to race and gender swap. We all know that story. But also, we have this. Netflix's He-Man isn't for parents, it's for a new generation. Now, this is the same exact thing. Now, this could be totally true, because I've actually heard good things about this show, and I probably will check it out pretty soon. But this show is the new Masters of the Universe show. This isn't Revelations, as you can see. It's kind of like a Fortnite-style animation, which really put me off of the show whenever I first saw the trailer. But I've been hearing good things about the story of the show. Apparently, it really respects the source material. It really respects the He-Man character. I will probably end up checking it out, but I don't know when that's going to be. Hopefully sometime soon, whenever I get time. But apparently, this show isn't for parents either, it's for the kids. Now, whenever the He-Man and Masters of the Universe Revelation show first came out, apparently it was being marketed towards the parents and not the kids. But like I said, as soon as the show started flopping on Rotten Tomatoes, as soon as the show started getting a lot of backlash because of the baits and switches that they were pulling inside of the show, then they started saying that this show wasn't made, the Revelation show, not this show, the Revelation show was made for kids. It wasn't made for adults. It was made to sell toys, and it was made for kids. That's the excuses that they use. That's the mind games that they play whenever their shows start doing bad. They start saying stuff like it's only made to sell toys. You don't put that much money into a show. You don't hire Kevin Smith on to make stuff just to sell toys. That's not how it works. And it definitely wasn't made for kids. It was they definitely said in the lead up to that show, they definitely marketed towards the adults who had seen He-Man, who had seen Masters of the Universe in the past, who were already fans, who already own the toys. They definitely made that show, and Kevin Smith himself said that multiple times, that it was made for He-Man fans. That's not going to be little kids. Little kids aren't going to be He-Man fans already. These shows are going to try to capture these types of shows right here. This new Masters of the Universe show, not the old one, not the Revelations one. This one is going to capture the new kids that are going to be fans in the future. Apparently the show's pretty good. I'll definitely check it out soon. But if we go back to this Rotten Tomatoes score, 94% critic score, 39% audience score, right? It was actually like a 28 or 29% audience score. But Kevin Smith himself, a lot of other people were saying that this show was review bombed. A lot of people were saying that it's review bombed. And it's crazy how whenever something like Shang-Chi comes out and it gets one of the highest rated, it might still be the highest rated Marvel movie of all time. And now look, I really didn't like the movie, but I could definitely see how some other people could like the movie. The mindless action stuff, the anime style action stuff, it doesn't impress me. I want to see a really good story outside of the action. A movie could be really good to me and have zero action as long as the storyline is really good. Action doesn't impress me, so that's why I didn't like that movie too much. I will see it again kind of soon, hopefully, and maybe I could like it better the second time. But at best, even if you really do enjoy action, I think that Shang-Chi is probably a mid-tier Marvel movie, definitely not a top 5 Marvel movie. There's no way. And the fact that it had the best Rotten Tomato score of any Marvel movie of all time for a while, it might even still have it. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while. That is crazy. But they didn't say anything about that being a review bomb. So why is it a review bomb whenever this show, which people just didn't like, and I can prove it to you in 1 second, it wasn't a review bomb. People just didn't like the show. It had a 28 or I think it was a 27 audience score. They froze the reviews and they bumped it up over 12% now. But this wasn't a review bomb. And like I said, I can prove it to you right now. If you look at this show right here, this is the new Masters of the Universe show, a He-Man Masters of the Universe show. It has an 80% critic score and 80% audience score. It's not being review bombed. It's not like we're just super against Kevin Smith or Masters of the Universe shows. I was a Kevin Smith fan. I have a Kevin Smith Funko Pop behind me that I need to take down, but I still haven't taken it down. I didn't even leave a review on the show, but I think a lot of other people out there are just like me and they like Kevin Smith stuff. They like Kevin Smith the person. We didn't have anything out for Kevin Smith. It was the fact that you baited us in and then you switched us. It wasn't a review bombing for no reason. It was review bombing. It was just bad reviews. It's not review bombing if a lot of people just dislike the show, and you can see that here. We have nothing against He-Man and Masters of the Universe. If it's a good show, we'll give it good reviews, and you can see that right here. This is proof that there was no review bombing going on with the Revelation show. Because look right here, 80% audience score and 80% critic rating. But then we go right here, 94% critic rating and 39% audience score. The 94% critic rating is pretty crazy to me. That is actually pretty crazy to me. But, you know, this show wasn't made for us. It was made for kids. It was made for a new generation, just like this newer show. Apparently, everything is just shifting towards kids now. A lot of things are shifting towards kids now. We have a lot of Marvel kid shows coming out, a lot of Marvel kid comics coming out, a lot of DC kid shows and kid comics coming out. A lot of people are just trying to capture that new generation for whatever reason. And I think it's probably a good idea. Long term, I think it'll probably get a good audience. I think you'll probably capture a lot of kids if you do gear stuff towards kids, and you'll probably have a new generation of diehard fans. But it kind of sucks for people like me who is not a kid, and I want to see stuff that's geared towards me more. But it is what it is, man. I think that this is 100% proof that there was no review bombing going on with the Revelation show. You can let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that the Revelation score was review bombed, or do you think that this is proof that it wasn't? Because personally, I think that this is proof. I think that this is proof that we have nothing against Masters of the Universe. We have nothing against He-Man or anything like that. Nothing against Teela, because this show has Teela in it as well. It's just simply that we didn't like this show, and Kevin Smith handled it in a really, very poor way. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, though, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you next one.